Welcome to the Untranslatable Bossa Nova Hour, where we sit here and enjoy some tasty Bossa Nova and some Portuguese.
Is that how you say that?
I don't know, probably not.
Portuguese. It sounds like a good way to make it sound like you know what you're talking about, and
Right.
Be getting it completely wrong.
Right, it's like
a
when you're in
Brazilian or a
restaurant.
Portuguese are both neither of us ever have said that before in
Right.
our life. So
It's like when you're in an Italian restaurant and you're like,
Portuguese.
"Of the spaghetti."
yeah, we just call it spaghetti.
Or if the intro is just...
I mean, this is something we can't have.
Get the ham horns going, fam. It's a free country, and if we like ham horns, we can freely express our views to enjoy ham horns, that's for sure. What I'd really like to say is, hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here recording episode 114, and today we will be getting into teacher stories, some good, some bad, some ugly, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to bringing it your way today. So without further ado, my buddy, my pal, and the guy with some other stories of some sorts, my buddy Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Enough time has passed. Chad's now back safely in the United States, and he's been here for about maybe close to a month at this point, a little less than a month, 3 weeks. He's safe. He's on American soil. The Czech people can no longer get him, and now it's time to dish. It's time to dish these teacher stories. No, that's not true. I'm actually interested to know if you have any sort of teacher stories. I never hear them, but that's also because you're a nice guy. You're like, no, it was just a misunderstanding. It was probably really my fault. But, that's because you like to...
Spread a little love.
And the best way to do that is by following us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. Follow us on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. You can email us, untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com.
Пожалуйста.
Give us untranslatables. Hey, if you know any sort of language, flex at us a little bit. Give us an untranslatable, which is an idiom, saying, proverb, axiom, some other word that doesn't really make any sense if you directly translate to English, but it has a little gem of knowledge in there when someone says it to you. Or obviously,
Spread a little love. Spread a little love.
That's right. Don't forget to spread that love.
with some 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. They're there. I see them. Thank you. But hey.
Spread a little love.
And today's really especially about spreading the love, because Chad and I, we talked a lot. We even got lawyers involved, and it got messy. And you notice we're here in a neutral location. We can't really talk a lot about it.
It's a secret for now.
But with the sorry, I'm looking at the security that's actually, sort of supervising this thing. We figured it out. Chad agreed. He said, listen, I like the podcast. I don't like you. And I understand that it is better when we're in person. So as long as we have some sort of supervision and we're going to meet in a neutral location, so we're in an undisclosed house somewhere in the Metro Detroit area. That's all I can say. And I'm happy to see you alive in person. And
It's good to be here.
another thing about this place is all right, I'm going to be honest with you. I pull a couple strings, and occasionally I even live here sometimes.
Sometimes, huh?
I'm interested to get your take on the place. Any sort of things that stick out to you as good or bad?
Of our secret recording location.
Of the entire thing.
The entire
home.
thing. It's fantastic.
You don't have to butter my biscuit. I can take it.
I'm gonna butter your biscuit because I like it here. It's good. I think once.
How's it smell?
Smells fine. No old people smell that I can detect anywhere. Smells good.
Yeah.
You got those scented candles in the bathroom for those times when you need to spruce it up. So yeah, I'd say this place it's on the right path for sure.
On the right path. Yeah.
Yeah, could be a little bit more unpacked, but
All right,
I
I'll give you
understand the
that.
struggle. I understand
I'll
the
give
struggle.
you that. I'll give you that. That's the thing.
Takes time.
Is in my head, I'm like, well, there's only a couple boxes. Weirdly enough, the last few boxes are the hardest because
And they take the longest, for sure.
Because, especially since I essentially clearly already have everything I need. So why don't I just move the boxes downstairs is kind of the thinking. But it is like, especially once you start working again, it's like, oh my God, you come home, it's like, I don't want to just immediately start moving boxes.
You're tired, I understand.
But it's like, you look at how many there are, and it's like, it really shouldn't take this long, though. And I think about that. I think about that from time to time. The paintings, though. Now that I think I'm waiting for Sydney because I think some of them I'm considering going to not doing nails and the little hangy thingy, but doing some sort of 3M stick.
That's
hook,
the official term.
Stick,
the hangy
stick and hook.
Yeah.
Do you know the official term for Velcro? Velcro's like a company. Velcro's like
It's like Kleenex.
Yeah. Do you know what Velcro actually is?
What is it?
Hook and loop.
Hook and loop. There you go. You heard it here.
Hook and loop
people.
technology. All right.
Hook and loop. All right.
Shout out to John Hook and Adam Loop. But now we could. By the way, it's been a while since I've seen you. Mm-hmm. You've been living a fun employment lifestyle.
I have been, yes.
Has it been fun or has it been just unemployment?
It's been fun. It's been a good staycation.
How have you and your parents been getting along?
Fine. Good.
Are you just bragging now or what? Is
yeah,
this okay?
Just trying to flex on you, Joe.
All right, no. I love my parents.
Just doing what I do. No, it's been good. It's been fun. A lot of relaxing. It feels great to sleep in and wake up naturally.
I still struggle. I'm slowly getting back into it, but I still struggle to effectively wake up. I drink a lot of coffee.
What time do you have to get up every day?
It's very flexible, but my goal is to get there no later than 8 o'clock. I'll tell you why. And this is just a general tip to all the kids out there. The main reason why is because my boss told me that it's very flexible and you can come in, not whenever you want. I mean, don't get into like, should I not be kicking the table? Is that a problem?
You need to turn my input up a little bit. I just realized if you look here.
Did I lower you?
Or I have no idea. Did you? Oh, that's much better.
I get in around about 8 o'clock, and that's mainly because I'm not the first person to get in. I'm going to be clear. You should be the first person if you really want to be a winner, but I'm a loser. But
no, you're not, Jared, but that's okay.
I scoot in a little more. I get there before my boss does. That's the really important part. I always get there before my boss, except for a couple times. Usually I get there before my boss.
Okay.
But it's usually around, so usually I wake up around, maybe I set my alarm too early. I think that actually might be it.
What time do you set your alarm at?
I set my alarm for 6:30 and 6:40. I set 2. And it takes me about 15 minutes to get to work, so I usually leave here, usually no later than 8:45.
Okay.
Excuse me, 7:45.
7:45. I don't know. I got up about an hour before I was supposed to be in.
Yeah, but I think I spent a lot of that time. I think I spent a lot of that time. Like I usually shower the night before, so I think I spent a lot of that time just lying in bed. I think it could be more productively spent on actually sleeping.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, they say you don't sleep any better after you wake up after your alarm.
I 100% believe that. It just feels nice. Too.
Yeah, sure. I did that today. Hit the snooze button a couple times. That's for sure.
Chad, I'm feeling nice. And when I feel nice, I wanna
spread a little love.
Can you hook us up? Because you're always good at spreading the love.
I try to spread the love when I can, Jared. And today I
feel very loved, except for that looming guy with the large firearm standing right outside of the shot.
Well, Jared, you got to do what you got to do.
All right.
Got to be safe. This is America, Jared.
I just wish you didn't have to be whisked away as soon as we turn off these microphones and cameras.
Well, I'm a busy guy, Jared. Got a lot of fun employment things
I even
to do.
showed you my keyboard. I thought you'd be impressed. Actually, my keyboard sucks.
I wasn't that impressed. It was okay.
It's really bad. No, I've told you that.
It'll get the job done. For our jam sessions later, it'll work. But
For sure. I'm embarrassed.
Get them better weighted keys.
They're terrible weighted keys. When I played yours, I told you how amazed I was.
You need to go on Craigslist, go on the free, pick up an upright piano, buy somebody, pay for someone to tune it, you're good as gold.
My piano teacher in
Philly?
Pennsylvania, she was selling her upright piano because she just got a grand piano. She was selling it for $200.
Should have bought it.
And I know she kept it in tune because she gets it tuned every week because she teaches with it.
Right.
So I knew it was good.
Got lots of use.
But the thing is, in my head, she started selling it before I got laid off, and I was like, I can't put this in my place because I know how thin these walls are.
Right.
And can I actually play this thing? And then when
should have though. Why not? Now you can.
But then when I got laid off, I'm like, well, now I'm not gonna just spend money. Even though it's cheap, it still seems foolish to, as I lose a job, just buy something like that, then get it paid to even shipped out to me. I can't stick it in the back of my hatchback.
Right. You can't?
Not that hatchback.
Oh, bummer. Well, either way though, I mean, it's crazy just looking and seeing what's out there for free on Craigslist. But that's not what we're here to do.
I'll look.
Right here, we're here to spread some love. And I want to
y'all
spread
stop?
the love out to Texas. Because Texas has generated more electricity from wind this year than coal. So it's a much more sustainable source of energy. And I think it's really great. And this is the first time in Texas that
I got questions. I don't know if you have the answer, but I do have questions.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So, what about fracking, for example?
Frack you, Jared.
Chad.
Flipping on gator piss.
Come on, listen. I know these guards are here, but it'll at least take a second for them to get to me. I can at least get slapping on there.
See, Jared, this is why I like working with you, because you got the questions. I don't have the answers,
Betcha.
but I don't know. That's a great question about
because
fracking.
Texas is a big oil country.
But here you go, Jared. Texas
A lot of rich people in Texas because of the oil.
That's true. But in Texas, it's actually the largest consumer of coal, according to the Energy Information
roll coal.
Admin.
I get it. I've been to Texas.
Right? But hey,
Those trucks got smoke, baby.
that's true. But at least now they're generating more electricity from wind than from coal.
That's true. No, I think that is cool, and I think it's cool to see it also on larger scales like this. Because it's cool. People see oh, Denmark only runs on used tissues, and it's yeah, but Denmark also has 14 people. That'll never work in the U.S. And I hate hearing people say that.
That's an irritating argument for sure.
Can you push that over a little bit? It's really bothering me. You see what I'm talking about? The camera. I hate seeing that argument because I always just sense it to be a cop out. It's so quick and easy to just as towards you. It's so quick and easy to just a little more. It's so quick and easy to just say no, it's not really possible to do. They can do it because there's only a few of them. So it's easier for them to finance it when it's on a smaller scale. And it's that's just an easy cop out, and I hate it. So it's cool to see a place, especially like Texas, where a lot of those people, no, I'm kidding, but people like that, people might say stuff like that, and it's you're seeing it in your own great state that it's possible, and I like that,
And
I like Texas.
To spread some love.
I do like Texas actually a lot. I was born there. I hate to say that because that is a security question every now and again. But
Now we know, Jared.
yeah, I laughed after that, and I was that was realer than I actually wanted it to be.
Yep, that's fair.
You guys don't know. No, I'm not even gonna say anything.
You can edit it out, though.
I'm not. It's
Anyways, Texas is great. My dad was also born there as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Shout out.
not only do we spread our love, but we say howdy and yeehaw to all of our Texans out there. So yeah, good.
Chad says that. I'm not disrespecting you like that.
I'll take it. I'll say it. So my next shout out goes out to the country of Sri Lanka, and they have defied the global trend in the battle against measles because they now have no reported measles in Sri Lanka. So that's great.
Have you heard about this almost resurgence? This seems to happen every now and again, almost like when a new flu comes. Have you heard about this? The new insurgence of anti-vaxxers.
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake's wife. I know that's rude, but I can't think of her name. Jessica Biel. She recently came out.
She's an anti-vaxxer.
Someone else came out, but
what I find interesting about most vaxxers is that they have been vaccinated themselves.
Anti-vaxxers, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but maybe no, that's rude.
We got to be nice here, people. Got to be nice. Plus, we are here to spread the love, and
That's true.
Spread a little love.
and Sri Lanka, has no measles. So I think that's awesome.
That sort of work seems interesting. Even like working in companies or jobs that like deal with funding and because like the interesting thing about a lot of these countries where those are struggles where it's like it's not even that, at least it seems like we theoretically don't know what the solution is.
Right.
It's more the ability to implement it, and that seems like interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just hope, regardless, whatever, if you're a vaxxer or anti-vaxxer, I just hope you and your children are healthy.
I'm a vaxxer.
I mean, I am as well, but, to each his own, I guess. I don't know.
Hashtag vaxxer. Check out my other
there you go.
Twitter account.
Well, Jared, that's all I've got for shoutouts, but I think you might know what time it is.
Now we're on a neutral location territory, and I am happy to be here, but I'm kind of scared. But I did at least request that we bring the clock.
You should be scared.
Now I have a question for you before we even get into this. I should have brought this up earlier. Now, speaking of being in this neutral location happens to be close to Ferndale, Michigan. I happen to peek
just random.
I happened to peek through the burlap sack out of the back of the Sprinter van that I was being escorted in and noticed a "Welcome to Ferndale" sign. Did you happen to peek out? And if you did, what do you think of Ferndale? You've never been here before, have you?
I haven't. Well, no, that's not true.
Okay.
I've been here twice.
Okay.
But not in this same exact location.
How do you feel about it?
It's nice. It's weird, though, going from the highway, going through 8 Mile into Ferndale. It's interesting to see the change from the freeway through 8 Mile to Ferndale.
Yeah. And I think if you also let's not get so specific here. There are
then when you turn down this street.
Yeah. And it's interesting that your addresses, those numbers line up like that. No, but it would be interesting for you to see, we're going to go to breakfast tomorrow morning, right? We're going to wake up relatively early.
Are we going to Coney Island?
No, we're not going to Coney Island. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Coney Island, let me be clear. It's just I'm trying to take you to like a
swanky place.
It's not swanky at all. It's a diner.
A non-swanky place.
It's diner style. It's just not a Coney Island. It's like a local place.
It's tasty brekkie.
I've been there plenty of times. Before I moved to Philadelphia, I almost was this close. Don and I, when we lived together, we're this close to making it our regular spot. And I'm like, I gotta go.
That's life, man.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed. I only got one month left till the next adventure. Which after next week, I think I'll probably be able to reveal the adventure.
All right.
So I'm excited. Yeah. But hey, we're actually here to
Chad's going to come back and be like, the adventure is I'm going to be living with my parents for the next 7 to 8 months.
The next 5 years.
Gator piss.
Oh, Jared, I told you I'm moving into the neutral location.
Anyway, I think we're being cut off by the...
we are. As we should be.
The security guard saying, wrap it up.
That's right. So, I'm going to give you the first one.
Picture this big dude just like...
Come on, hurry up.
Yeah, let's keep this going. Let's keep this going. We're union.
So my first one for you, Jared. This one, oh shoot. What language is this one? I'm trying to think.
Would you like me to start while you think about that,
yeah,
Chad?
go ahead. It's Estonian. Sorry, it's Estonian.
Good, because I actually wasn't prepared, as I was saying, and I'm prepared. I'm
good.
Like, oh. No, but I am now.
So this is Estonian. I don't know why I picked Estonian today, but I thought it'd be fun. And I don't know any, so here we go.
Chad, you don't have to justify languages. Every language is created equally. Well, not really, but... See, now I wish you had your setup set up right, where you could actually play it to the people. Now, could you say that? He's playing it through Google Translate for the third time. And I keep cutting it off. Go ahead.
Pil tule pika ilu piale, which means... in Estonian, it means don't have too much fun or there will be tears later. This is my first untranslatable for today.
Don't have too much fun or there will be tears later. It's just like, it just means like control yourself. Don't go crazy.
Yep. Very good word, Jared.
Yeah, it's just like, or else it'll catch up with you.
Right.
So, I have 3. 2 of them are French, Quebec.
Oui?
Quebec French. And the first one is avoir mal aux chevaux.
Avoir is goodbye.
No.
No.
Well, au revoir is goodbye. I said
Right.
au revoir.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Au revoir.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Goodbye. Shout out to all my Frenchies out there. So avoir is to get
Okay.
or to have, I believe. In chevaux, I actually remember that. That's hair. Granted, I'm also reading it. So it's
Okay.
not that
So what does
impressive.
this mean?
Get a bad hairache.
Bad hair ache. To not understand something?
No, sir.
No, sir. It's Monseigneur, actually. Not sir.
Monsieur.
See, I can't speak French.
Wow.
Okay.
Slipping on game.
I was like, what are you saying right now?
Can't speak French. Okay. To have a hairache. I have no idea.
All right, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that the reason you
Oh, I know what it means.
go for it.
Does it mean to be intoxicated?
No.
No. Okay.
But it is close. It's very close.
To be drunk.
That's the exact same thing, just a different word.
That's fair.
No, it's the aftermath. It's a hangover.
Oh, to be hungover. Okay.
I was gonna say I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt and say that the reason the good thing about this neutral location is we did add in the contract that they provide beers, and the only way you
very
can actually
important.
be this close to me in person is if you have at least 17 of them.
Yeah.
So
lots of
I was gonna
beers.
say
All the
I
beers.
understand that you need to have 17 to 48 beers in order just to be around me, but if you don't have at least a cup of water in between, you're really, really, really going to have a bad hairache tomorrow.
That's fair. Well, Jared, depending on who the person is, they might have thin ears. And in Korean, they say, "Kui ga yalpda."
Is that almost like in one ear, out the other?
Not quite.
Okay.
Not quite.
That's a good guess, though. I'm going to be honest with you.
It's not bad. I'm trying to think of a good way to
Thin ears.
explain this.
It's like you forgetful?
You're getting warmer.
Like a bad short-term memory? Or
We say it's written on the ceiling, and then people look up.
don't stray too far away from that thing. It's written on the... Oh, gullible.
There you go. Gullible.
Thin ears.
Yes, thin ears.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Whoa, a spider. Wow.
Oh
By
no.
the way, it's very possible. This is a very old house. There are a lot of holes.
That's fair. Nothing wrong with that.
I saw a video on Instagram the other day of like a spider in Australia. It was like the
huntsman?
pre-pee flush, and like it was the spider was almost climbing out.
Oh, jeez.
It was. I don't know why I watched the whole thing. My next phrase is Hungarian. Yeah, I said I have 2 French Quebec ones, and I do. Hold on. My next one's Hungarian, and it's fabul vaskarika, and it literally means an iron ring made of wood.
So, like when something is not as it seems.
If it's not as it's, what if I'm telling you something that's not as it seems?
So it's like a fish story. Like you're like embellishing on the story.
There you go.
All right, I'll take
The
it.
exact translation is if you hear the exact translation. I mean, the exact translation I found on one website. This is untranslatable. No one owns this. If you hear something really absurd, then it's fabul jaskarika. So yeah, some absurd story or like you're embellishing. That's not real.
Okay,
That's a
nice. Well, Jared,
iron ring made of wood.
my last untranslatable for you
Let's
is
hear it,
also
man.
Korean, and it is
Anyo.
Sun i koida, which means you have big hands or big hands.
Is it like you like a klepto?
Opposite.
You're trustworthy.
Not quite.
You give people. You're very giving.
There you go. Yeah, you're generous. Very good.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes
generous.
sense.
Big hands. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I like that. I love
hands.
how you really was the opposite. You're not taking, you're giving.
Right.
One more. I did say to French Quebec for all of our Canadians out there that were
Quebecois?
at the edge of their seats, like, hey, don't forget about us. You said 2. Blé d'Inde. Blé d'Inde. Blé d'Inde. That's probably what it is. Blé d'Inde.
What does it mean?
To eat wheat from India. Blé de, it's wheat. It's essentially just wheat of India is what it is. Blé d'Inde is wheat of India.
Wheat.
But you would usually probably say to eat wheat from India. Your least favorite sports team enjoys play the end?
I have no idea.
Who's your least favorite college sports team in state?
Michigan.
What are their colors?
Maize and blue?
What's maize?
Like yellow?
Maize is specifically blade end. Corn on the cob. Wheat from India is corn on the cob.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Corn of... Okay. Interesting.
I thought that clue would give it... Maize is corn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. No, that was good. I just wasn't picking up what you were putting down.
No, that's fair. That's not on me.
Right. Well,
it's not no one.
Now it's
We're
time.
just having fun, Chad.
That's true. That is
Speaking
true.
of having fun.
It's time to have some fun and talk about some teacher stories.
Now, I asked you to do a Reddit poll on stories. Reddit poll, like there's some sort of we pay a lot of money for the software that allows us to pull from Reddit.
That's right, millions of dollars.
I asked we want to do a teacher. We like doing teacher episodes. We haven't done one in a while. I want to know. Now you know what your next job is, whether it's teaching or not. How much have you thought about teaching since? How much have you thought about teaching since you've been on your fun employment? Strategies, thoughts about previous employment at in the Czech Republic. Like, how much do you just think about it, or contemplate, or try to improve, or think about what's coming up next? Which I'm not gonna say this is it, but if I were to guess, I would assume it would have something to do with teaching.
I mean, I do a lot of planning, just, trying to think about what I want to do in the upcoming semester and school year. What are my goals as a teacher? I'm still waiting, though, to hear back from the university I'll be working at to hear about the few classes I will be teaching will be with other teachers. Like, there's one final for 3 different classes. So we have to coordinate everything. So right now it's not so much reading and writing lesson plans, but more so just trying to think about, okay, I want to try this year, try that, things like that.
So as a teacher, we're going to talk about teacher stories, embarrassing teacher stories, crazy teacher stories. You've been a teacher for, at this point, a couple of years, however long it is. What, 3 years essentially, 4 years?
5 if you count all my German teaching, yeah.
I'll count it.
Okay.
Fine. Hey,
5?
Listen.
5?
I wish you didn't see me.
Parada.
Good job, Chad. 5 years. No, I'm kidding. That makes sense. We've graduated for 5 years. Have you had any sort of standout moments that you already think are going to stick with you? Maybe not forever, but you're like, that was definitely quite an experience that you hear about, but you actually don't think you'll experience, or something where it's like, I've had to almost be in a situation that was out of body. I'm not usually a yeller, but if I didn't, I had to almost put on my teacher dad voice kind of thing.
I've never had to yell. Thankfully.
Never
one moment.
You've never had to yell. Okay. Now, I'm going to assume, I assume you've been in a situation where you've had to, maybe not yell, but have you been in a situation in a classroom in your lifetime when you've heard like a teacher just go haywire, kind of yell?
I mean, there were plenty of times when I was a student where I would see teachers go a little crazy.
So what's the situation? We're not going to talk about, we don't need to talk about your childhood that much because you're an actual teacher. I'm curious about sort of how you handle situations, or what sort of the most sort of line crossy, or I got to really stand out situation where it's like, this is one for the books, at least for now.
Plus, we got some good teacher stories from Reddit as well that we need to share as well. But for me, I haven't ever really
and
had
I have
to
a story for you too, by the way, just to be clear.
Right. I've been fortunate. I've never had to yell at my students.
Have you gotten close? Have you thought about it? Because yelling, you and I are different in a lot of ways, but we're similar in the sense that it seems like it takes a lot for either of us to get to yelling. Like I couldn't tell you the last time. I really try
not to yell.
I couldn't tell you the last time I yelled.
Right.
And it's really not part of my personality. So like if I get there, something's going seriously wrong, and I honestly couldn't tell you the last time I yelled.
Me either. And I've been fortunate though too, where my teaching, my classes and everything has I've had good students where I haven't needed to yell.
Is it also easier the older they are? Like, even if you
Oh,
are...
for sure. College, I would say, is less disciplining.
We were actually talking about this before when we were meeting in the official lobby before we got into this safe room. That just in general, the older you get, the more enjoyable you feel like it could be, or especially the easier it could be, just because the older you get, the more likely you're there because you actually want to be. So, like, if you're in elementary school, it's most likely just because you absolutely have to be.
Yeah.
You're not like, Mom, I need to go to school. And if so, call Child Protective Services, kid, because your parents are not good. But, like, by the time you're, say, in grad school, for example, it's like you actually
thought about
want
it
to be here.
yeah.
You're trying to do... Like, it's not just like, well, I guess I got to be in college. You're like, no, I need to do as well as I can to progress in my career or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
it's way different. I mean, even teaching, I just got done teaching high school students in the Czech Republic, which was great. But it definitely changes when you teach the first year students versus the seniors. You know, it's very different.
I understand not having maybe in-classroom situations like that. But say, especially when you're in the Czech Republic, it's more, you know, the alcohol culture is way more relaxed, and it's, you know, the beer culture... it seems like from the age of 8 it was very normal, and so there were plenty of opportunities for you to have a beer. You know, you for the most part stayed pretty responsible with that.
I tried my best.
Were there ever situations you felt tested that you weren't used to being around students where you could drink like that? And I'm just gonna fix my chair real quick so I don't destroy my favorite rug.
Not really. In the Czech Republic, I had students who would, you know, buy me shots and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I think they were, you know, trying to test my limits, but you just gotta be careful, gotta be smart, be honest with them.
You were never out of your element. Maybe not. I'm not gonna say out of your element, but you're never like out of control in front of them.
Of course not. No. And that's the kind of the cool thing was, you know, with my situation in the Czech Republic, I was close enough in age with the students where it wasn't weird, or at least I didn't feel weird, you know, going out and having a drink or two with them. So it was really nice. It was fun. It was enjoyable. No really crazy teacher stories from that. That's for sure.
Speaking of drinking with students, that is a tricky sort of balance to play. You know, for example, I had one teacher in one of my programs at school that was kind of known for, like, you know, being the cool guy, older teacher, and he would have students over because we did summer school and he lived on a lake. And, you know, we would have a beer or two, but, like, nothing ever got close to
crazy.
Being nowhere even close. Like, you know, we probably had 3 to 4 beers. You know, it wasn't crazy or anything.
Nothing too wild.
But there was, you know, that's the U.S. I think even when you have, like, a kind of a cool teacher in the U.S., you know, quote unquote cool teacher, you know, a teacher that's known for being cool or, like, having a drink with students, it rarely gets really crazy, at least in my experience, except. You know what the wild card always is?
What's that?
Europe, man.
Yeah, I've got a few stories from Europe for sure.
I'm
sure you have a couple. Do you have any from Superdaventi?
Well,
some stories?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
That's right.
I almost wish you would have just let me say it without asking that,
sorry. Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. So when I do, and you know, it's interesting because. It is like a cultural... The thing about drinking with teachers or drinking with, you know, colleagues, for example, they do that in the U.S., but I think it's common in Europe too. Like, it is a very useful feature to have to...
I'd say it's more common in Europe as well, by the way.
It's very useful feature, like a situation to have when you're working with people. It helps with your relationships, but it is a very hard sort of balance to strike. And it starts younger in Europe just because it's more conventional to drink. So when I went,
it's more accepted.
I went to more accepted. I went to France, and I was studying abroad when it happened in Austria, but that doesn't matter because it was with students from my school in the U.S. And so they all came
your
there.
college.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm just talking like no one's here. I'm
still here, Jared.
It was a college related thing, but I could do it from different spots. So I was studying abroad, and so we went to Paris, or we went to France, and we had these classes, and we did classes, and we worked with our classmates, our French classmates, and they showed us around Paris, and they showed us a good time. And so they were chaperones, and they were professors, and one of them was just kind of a volunteer. He wasn't really necessarily part of the program, but they needed another person, so I guess he volunteered or something. And for one of the nights, they took us out to a club. And just to begin with, they already were... French people don't eat, apparently. That's what I learned when food is like the 8th thing on their list, and for us Americans, it's usually top on the mind. Actually,
It's number one.
I almost feel like we need to eat something before we go to bed.
It's probably a good idea.
Anyway, so we went to this club. It was this big, it's club, and it was cool. And I actually had a good time.
What kind of club was it?
It was a great club, and the teachers.
Wait, you liked it?
Yes.
Wow. I'm so intrigued.
But
right
we also,
now. Why?
I think we got there a little early. I think that helps. So there were people there, but it was mostly enjoyed by our group. So I think that helps. And I'll tell you why I could have stayed as long as I wanted, obviously, except for the fact that all of us weren't having a good time. There were essentially two chaperones there, and one of them I noticed. I was like, wow. That person's really taking it to the...
Putting it down, taking it to the dome.
I was like, I didn't know that person rolled like that. Next thing we know, it turns out he doesn't roll like that. And so me and another student and then the other chaperone, we chauffeur or escort this person outside. And he is, I love how I'm going back and forth between like this person just saying that is he. So we were waiting outside, and he was literally on, this club was on the Champs-Elysees, I believe, which is a major street in Paris for those of you that don't know. And he was hugging a pole sitting on the ground on this major street. And there might have been some projectile coming from his mouth. And so we got him into a taxi, and we got him home, and we were staying at a hotel, obviously, and he threw up in the lobby.
Oh God, poor guy.
In either the lobby twice or the elevator, I don't remember, but it was twice, not in his room, on his bed, and then he started crying in his room.
And didn't you comfort him?
Yeah, and
how'd that go?
There's something extremely comforting comforting. That's not what I meant to say. There's something extremely sobering in general about like taking care of someone that's exponentially drunker than you. Well, I was gonna say, just to begin with, most people are probably taking care of someone that's too drunk, and even if you are kind of intoxicated, it's very sobering if you're, the one that's actually got control of themselves. So it was a very sobering situation. One, to be and take care of person mode, then two, for that person to be your teacher, where it's like, interesting.
And thankfully, I've never had that experience with my students where they've needed to take care of me. And in the Czech Republic, I have to give kudos to all my students. I didn't have to take care of any of them either.
Did you hear any stories about any of your colleagues being in any precarious situations?
Not really. It seems like Czech people know the right way to have a good time and don't usually go too far.
And I think it's just because, especially it's just so naturally part of the community, the beer. So it's like, it's for anyone.
It is so good. I do miss.
No one's really going hard where they're just like full on shotgunning beers, or like just like, hey, let's just do a straight keg stand.
Shotgunning beers is an American thing. So our keg stands.
Of course it is. We could do a whole podcast just about...
we should.
Dude,
we should.
Let's do a podcast on stupid ways that Americans get drunk.
Tomorrow morning.
All right. My notebook's over there. We'll remember.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But yeah, that's the nice thing, though. Although I will say this. I did go out with my students when I was helping out with the study abroad program in Germany. Mm-hmm. And just, it is different staying out until 8 a.m. with your students at a club.
Is it almost like, yes, I'm having a good time, and listen, please be honest with me, and this is nothing crazy, but is there always a part of you that's like, I can't really fully let go, or can you fully enjoy yourself, or you kind of like if you're you and I and David and Don, for example, Is there another
different story.
Is there another level you could hit,
Different story with my
or
students.
can you fully let go?
No, I can't fully let go. I'm with my students. I need to keep it somewhat
and let's be
professional.
clear, by the way, fully let go for you. That does. I'm not saying, and this is for you and just for the audience. That doesn't mean get hammered to the point where you're doing what I'm talking about that teacher was doing. I just
Right.
mean like you could
Not
fully
trying to cry in a
like
hotel
enjoy
room
yourself and
anytime
not like sort of had that
I can
feeling in the
definitely
back of
have-
your head where it's like, all right, remember you gotta like
Well, so this is the way I
be
look at it.
kind of responsible.
Exactly. I look at it as I'm here to have fun, but also make sure everyone gets home safely. Really, I don't enjoy it until I'm back in my bed at my hostel or my hotel, and I know pretty much everyone's been home and gotten home safely.
I mean, that makes sense.
So yeah, but
Because I mean, I guess if anything does go wrong, the first thing they'll be like is, "Who was there?" And then we hear you, and you're just naturally the
Right.
responsible
Ooh,
one.
I do have a story.
Let's hear it.
Now that we're reminiscing on stuff in the past. I had a student one time. We were walking back to our hostel from Berlin, and we were in the east side of Berlin, and it just so happened our hostel was on the side street to the street with the highest amount of outdoor night ladies, if you catch my drift. In
Ladies of the night, yeah.
exactly in that part of Berlin.
Working women.
Exactly. And so
Night workers.
I'm walking home with one of my students at the time, and his German was really good. And we're walking home, and he sees this attractive lady of the evening, lady of the night, and a guy standing a couple
By the way,
steps behind him.
Legal, just to be clear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Over there, it's completely illegal. Although I don't know if street workers are legal. I'm not sure what the laws
We'll
are.
pretend that whoever this person was interacting with was dealing with legal
Sure.
ladies.
But the thing is we start to walk by, and he sees her, and I think then he realizes what's going on, and he asks the guy in English, asks the guy behind her, "Are you her pimp?" And I'm just like, "Oh, dude, what? Why did you ask him?"
no tact.
Right. And so eventually, I apologize.
Pimps never actually call themselves pimps, right?
I don't know, dude. I'm not a pimp. I don't know. I don't know what the protocol is. But anyways, I apologized. I said, sorry, we've had a couple beers. We're walking home.
Wow. You jumped in like you
I did
intercepted?
not. Yeah. This dude looked like he was like a Russian, like probably knew how to fight. Well, that's not Russian, but.
Oh,
but
well,
yeah.
I thought you said you were in Germany.
I was. But
Oh, okay.
I don't know if he spoke German. But
That's true.
anyways, that was pretty wild. And I definitely gave him an earful walking back after that.
Did you really?
Oh, for sure. I told him, I was like, what do you think? I was like, what do you think could have happened? He was like, well, I was just messing around. I'm like, no. Like,
White dude.
some of these people will mess your day up.
What was he looking for?
I think he was just, I don't know.
So he wasn't actually and listen, we're not saying who
I don't
this
think he
was,
was
but
looking
he
for the
wasn't
lady of the
actually
night.
considering the situation. How weird.
Well, when you've never been in that kind of situation before,
I mean,
you tend to do ridiculous things.
That's not how I respond to these situations.
Yeah, well,
I'm more of a shut down kind of person.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, so that was pretty crazy. I never would have thought when people told me, yeah, you're gonna, help out with the study abroad program. You'll be, helping a guy
babysitter.
from
An
yeah,
adult babysitter.
yeah. That's kind of what it is. But it's there's a lot of good portions of it. We got to see a lot of great places in around that area. In the Eiffel is what they call it, not like the Eiffel Tower in France, but the Eiffel in Germany. And
Yes, this is ours now.
That's right. So
Do you have any?
Slipping on gator piss.
I love Reddit. I'm not active on Reddit, but whenever I see something from Reddit that say someone sends to me, I'm always like, Reddit. I used to think, I have a better feeling of Reddit now. I used to think it was a cesspool.
I love Reddit.
I think it can be a cesspool, but it's also easily not a cesspool.
There's a lot of great stuff on Reddit.
Also, the CEO and founder of Reddit is married to one of the greatest female tennis
Serena
players
Williams,
in the world.
So let's talk about some teacher stories from Reddit. This one's kind of a funny one, Jared. So a student was waiting late after their rehearsal, and the student calls home, "Hey, can you tell mom to pick me up?" "Oh, she's in the shower. What about dad?" "Oh, really? He's in the shower too?" Then the student turns to the teacher. "Well, It's going to be a while, Mr. M.
Okay. That's crazy. Her parents forgot about her.
All right.
Did I miss something? Is that a porn
They're
thing?
they're in the shower together. The parents.
Oh, the parents
So
are in
that's
the
why
shower
it's going
together.
to take a while.
Oh, I gotcha. I misunderstood.
The joke's not as good when you get it
that went
explained.
over my head. That's on me.
Oh, that's all right. All right.
Also, I didn't expect you to tell a sex joke. That's so unlike you.
I mean, this is Reddit. This is not me. This is Reddit.
Wait, but that's the parents that are in there.
Yeah.
By the way, I've been in a situation where I'm pretty sure. Oh, I'm gonna say my mom forgot me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Luckily, in high school, when I moved back from Germany, my high school was a boarding school. I wasn't in the boarding part. That's the only thing.
Okay.
I don't think my parents knew that I wasn't in the boarding part. My mom told me that she was gonna pick me up, and I had friends that were in the boarding school, so I hung out with them in the boarding area, and at like 5 or so, I was like, "Hey, you said you're gonna pick me up?" She's like, "Oh," and it turns out she was actually in the parking lot the whole time waiting for me. And
Just in the wrong spot.
Yeah, it was
Man,
crazy.
Yeah, that'll happen. Here we go. I was a teacher's aide in a third grade classroom. It was the last day of school before spring break, and all the kids were so excited. It's a big party day. We had pizza, watched the Muppets movie, and all the kids brought gifts or dessert foods for everyone else. One kid who didn't have that much money wanted to make personalized bookmarks for the rest of the class. Because his family didn't have much money, he decided to look around his dad's workplace to find something he could use. In the trash can, there were a bunch of long strips of cardboard. The only thing was the cardboard came from cigarette cartons, and his dad worked at a liquor store. So on one side, there was a kid's name and cute pictures. On the other was a blatant advertising for Marlboro, Pall Mall, Camel, you name it. This was so hard to not laugh when he came up to me and excitedly showed them to me. This was my first time working in a classroom, and I had no idea what to do. The teachers ended up having me take them to the supply room and laminate them with construction paper covering the other side. We told the kids it would help them last longer. His bookmarks were everyone's favorite gift.
Cigarette bookmarks?
Mine still has the Al Capone on the back, though. Honestly, dude, I think that's awesome. I think it was so nice this kid went above and beyond to give all of his classmates personalized bookmarks. And look, that's a clever workaround by the teachers.
But they're cigarette bookmarks, right?
Yeah.
Am I hearing that properly?
From cigarette cartons, yeah. But
like, I get it. But there was a whole campaign just to get rid of cigarette advertisements.
That's fair.
Listen, I don't even smoke cigarettes. I don't support the smoking of cigarettes. I would say don't do it if you had a choice. I did it once and I hated it, and I was like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. No, thank you. And children, you don't need to do it either. Just listen to me. I did it once and it was awful. By once, I literally mean like I took 2 puffs and I was like, I don't understand this.
Right.
But anyway, that does seem like it would be a cool looking bookmark. I'll give it that.
Right, for sure. Next up, Jared.
And I do like the sort of entrepreneurial state. Although they didn't say he sold it, but
No.
I do.
Could
not
have.
even entrepreneurial, but I just like the nature, the thought
They
to
had
even
big
do
hands.
that. Yes,
They had big
wow,
hands.
Chad,
They had big hands.
making use of those untranslatables.
That's right. That's what we're here for, Jared. Next up, I was teaching EFL to a class of primary school Thai kids. I was teaching them plurals.
EFL.
English is a foreign language. We have an episode all about that.
We do.
Check it out.
TSL and EFL.
That's right.
101, I think.
Better know it. You don't know if you won't
That's
know.
a good episode.
It is. Anyway, they're all great. But anyways, I was teaching EFL, English as a foreign language, to a class of primary school Thai kids. I was teaching them plurals by showing them a slideshow of cartoon monsters. For example, it has 3 eyes, 4 legs, etc. And getting them to tell me how many limbs and stuff each monster had. One little kid, 5 years old, got really into it. And on one monster, shoots his hand in the air and comes out with, it has 1 anus. I was speechless for a second, so he jumped up on his chair backwards, bends over, and starts pointing to his arse. This must have been a British Redditor, shouting, "No, teacher, anus, it's anus."
Is there another word that she was getting at that I'm missing?
I don't think so. I think somehow the kid just knew the word for anus.
Wow. I mean, of course, that's where every good language learning starts, is with the terrible words. That is true.
We've
attempted to learn many languages before, Most haven't stuck, but we know how that goes.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
My listen, I love my boss a lot. Actually, I actually do. But he has spent time in Switzerland, and he says "Scheiße," and he's like, "Oh, wait, you know German?" I was like, "Yeah, no, I know what that means.
I know what you're saying. I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
I was like, I do know what you're saying. Yeah, I know. I lived there for. I might have forgotten a lot of it, but that's probably one of the last things to go.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I got one more story for you, Jared.
All right.
So, a girl trying to prove she was worthy of getting into an advanced placement lit class, which is technically a college level class taken in high school, asked me of an essay. Is it good? Did I show you my AP-ness? Say that out loud for me, Jared.
Did I show you my AP-ness?
That's right.
Yeah, that's
her AP-ness.
Wow.
How if she belongs as an AP student. So yeah, I think that's pretty funny.
Does she knew it? Well, see, listen. Was she doing that on purpose? Like
I don't
trying
think
to
so.
get into the class?
I don't think so.
I'm not saying that's okay. Just curious.
Who knows?
I'm not even gonna try to
kids
back
say
out
the
of that
darndest
one.
things, though, Jared. That's for sure.
Have you witnessed craziness happening in the class? Like your classmates do? Like oh wow.
Well, so when I was in 7th grade, a couple of the guys in my class kept. I don't even remember what they were saying. There's something weird. Thankfully, no.
I'm sure it wasn't.
They were saying something else.
I'm sure it wasn't.
And the teacher couldn't get them to stop, and the poor woman broke down into tears. So it was my 3rd or 4th day
Feels
in my
good to make
English
a teacher
class.
cry, doesn't it?
Thankfully, I've never had my students make me cry. I'm going to knock on wood for that.
That might sound sick, but I can imagine how it would feel good to make a teacher cry. Where it's like, you're supposed to be stronger than me, and I broke you.
Right. Oh, for sure. For sure.
I was always like, I was never a bad kid, really, but I was always sort of like a good enough kid to where I wasn't like a bad student, but also like very sarcastic and kind of smart alecky.
Interesting. I could never see that.
So like I often got into situations where it's like you couldn't just flat out like be like you're in trouble, but like I would annoy teachers nonetheless. And I'm sorry, Mr. Phillips. I feel like we could be friends.
You guys would be all right.
Do you have any more stories?
Oh yeah. I mean, other than that, there's also.
How much commiserating? I cut you off. I understand that.
You're good.
How much sort of student commiserating happens around the water cooler? If you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
Just means when you're talking to other teachers.
Yeah,
for the people that have no idea what I'm saying, because I get it.
I think it depends. In my environment, there wasn't a ton, really.
Is there commiserating but not student focused?
I think some of it could be. I think the commiserating that goes on between teachers a lot of times is, oh, who do you have next year in this class? And then, oh, you got Billy. Good luck with Billy.
Oh yeah,
You got Billy. Watch out.
I can imagine that.
Yeah. Other than that, though, I mean, we would talk about, sometimes parents were a little overbearing. We had one parent at our school that would...
Czech Republic.
Yeah, in the Czech Republic.
Okay.
Where, I mean, his son really wasn't doing great in our classes. I really tried to engage him and get him involved, and no luck. And his dad thought he deserved a certain grade when his work was not worthy of that grade. So you hear things like that, but there's not a ton of stuff. One crazy story, though, I have about a student of mine is when we were in Germany on the study abroad, one of my students, they had like a little study abroad fling, right? And the teachers knew about it. We didn't really talk about it very much, but, we were aware it existed.
Not with the teacher.
No.
Okay.
Two students.
Listen,
No.
We're not trying to
We're professionals here.
We're not trying to
We're
avoid the authorities in the story.
And no, two consenting students who were friends and dated, whatever.
Right.
And
okay.
turns out they were apparently fooling around outside somewhere, and there was a poison oak or poison ivy or something. And so my colleague had to go to the pharmacy with them to get them medicine because they were fooling around in the bushes.
Is that code for chlamydia?
It could be. I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't
what the
need to
code
say
is.
it,
Slipping on gator piss.
but I felt like I had to.
Right. Well, Jared, I don't have a ton, but Reddit has some good ones. and I think we should read a couple more.
Okay.
And some of these are really funny. A lot of these are just something that, like, in a way, it's almost like kids say the darndest things. For example,
do you ever wish that you could? I guess a second ago we mentioned that teaching generally gets easier the older they are, just because
for the most part, yeah,
more likelihood that they actually want to be there the older they get in general. Do you ever wish you could teach younger people? Do you enjoy teaching younger people? Do you think that that's a skill you wish you could perfect a little more?
I've taught kids for quite a few years, and I taught a kids class in the Czech Republic, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why did we never talk about this?
You never asked me.
But forget the podcast. Listen, I love the podcast. I never knew about.
Yeah.
You taught I knew you had the
every Wednesdays.
I knew you had the Czech and English back and forth lesson with those teachers. I didn't know you taught kids.
Oh yeah, every Wednesday.
Okay.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. The kids were awesome. The key when working with kids is here's something that is a little story, and I'm curious to see what you would have done if you would have been in my shoes, Jared. So I was teaching this class for kids in the Czech Republic. We were playing a game, and it was a older sister and younger brother in the class. And we were playing this game, and it was like a relay game. So the kids had to run around and find the words and stuff like this, right? You got to get the little ones moving. It's important. And so they're running around looking for words, and the older sister pushes the little brother. He falls, kind of hits his knee, looks like he's about to cry, looks at her, and then looks at me. And I didn't really know what to do. I'm going to be honest with you. Had he have cried, I've had kids cry on me before.
I feel like you leave that alone.
You leave it alone? Okay.
If it wasn't a family member, maybe I'd say differently.
Okay. And she kind of looked at me too, like, what? Like, we're just joking around. Yeah.
Nah, she's like, listen, I got this. I feel like...
And he was fine. I was just like, oh, man, I'm
sure he's fine. I'm sure he's fine. I mean, kids are resilient. I think she might have crossed the line, for sure. But I think that's a situation where you just leave it alone, and that you leave, and especially since they're family, it's like that'll work itself out, or he'll end up becoming a depraved cannibal.
Ideally, not that one, but yeah. Another funny story too. I was teaching in the Czech Republic. There were a couple students in the back that would just keep talking, and I would either stop talking.
You were one of those
kids,
weren't you?
Maybe, yeah, once in a while. Mm-hmm. I'm a talkative guy. What can I say? But they were talking quite a bit, and I would look at them, make that teacher eye contact, stare into their souls.
I know what you're doing.
And they kept talking, and so I just kept going. And so I kept, teaching. And this one student literally, in English, turns and looks at them and says, "Shut up, he's trying to teach." And in a way, I felt a little bad because, like, I could have said that, but I was kind of like, hey, man, I appreciate it.
It's better coming from him than you, though, isn't it?
Yeah. I think anytime a teacher yells like that, it's never good. I don't think it's a healthy thing teachers should do is yell at students.
It does sort of, in a weird way, like maybe the person would fear the teacher, but it does almost sort of make me, I've seen a teacher here and there yell, and it does, in a weird way, sort of make you lose respect for the teacher.
Oh,
because I think even if you're young, you understand what a lack of control is.
Right. And yeah, there's no reason why you need to yell at your students, for sure. I'll never forget, though, my last teacher story for this episode is, and we'll have to do a few more of these, because I'm sure if I think more about this, I can come up with some and find some better
I'm sure
ones.
I could, too.
Yeah. I had an AP, I won't say the class. We'll just say I had an AP teacher in high school. He's probably retired now. Doesn't matter.
Oh, my God.
He was teaching this class, and one of the students fell asleep in the front row, and he threw a history book, hardcover history book at him. Those things are big. It ended up chipping a corner off of the desk. Obviously woke the student up, scared the crap out of everybody else. It was crazy.
See, I went to an all-boys Catholic school, and so I saw tools be used as ways to get students in line. But we'll leave that for the next episode. We'll just leave it there.
Sounds good.
But for now, let's talk about our song of the pod.
Let's do it.
Now, this one is Brazilian, and it is so soothing.
Oh, it's so great.
It is perfect. The perfect mix of sort of that. What do you call that sort of style?
Bossa Nova.
Bossa Nova.
Yeah. So the song is actually on the album Puta Mayo, and the song is track number 2 on the album. It's called Esperança de Mar Azul. And it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Very laid back.
Portuguese is a very interesting language because it has all those like ows and ahs and but similar
I can't even pronounce half of them.
Similar to Spanish, although I will say it does have a very different sound to me at least.
Sounds great with Bossa Nova.
It fits very well to singing and it's because it still is a romance language.
Oh, for sure.
And you can hear it. It's very soothing. Like this is almost something where it's like you bring a lady back to the place, pour a glass of red wine, put on
if you're trying to get fancy, for
put
sure.
on some
Esperança de Mar Azul.
Puta Mayo. Puta Mayo.
Puta Mayo.
Is that like the bad word puta?
I think it's different. I'm not sure.
Okay, put on some Puta Mayo. Be like, hey, this is great. I love it. And it is really, it's. I almost hate to say this because it seems like it's simplifying the song, and it almost seems like, well, this is true. This is not even seeming, but it's clearly spoken as someone that doesn't understand bossa nova music well. But it fits to the formula very well of bossa nova.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
But I even hate to say that in the sense that it seems like it's, taking away from how good it is. But it's very, like it almost just naturally makes you move in that way that every sort of bossa nova song forces you to do with your shoulders, where you're like
Sure, it's hard to keep still, for sure. Absolutely.
I love it.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I
almost feel like you hear it at a restaurant, too. Good restaurant music.
Yeah? Yeah, it's fantastic. There's a man and a woman singing. It's fantastic. Really fantastic piano. Yeah, it's bossa nova. It's great. Check it out. Untranslatable One on Twitter. Esperança de Mar Azul. It's fantastic. And that whole album is great. And that whole album actually is bossa nova in numerous different languages. I showed Jared a German one. Sorry, people. This was the one Jared was loving, which is fine. I was pushing for the German one, but hey, this is a good one too.
I can't be. I have to be true to myself. I can't just be biased to the German language. Although I could use it.
You could.
At this point, I really could, because at this point I could do anything to keep up with it, because I'm really slacking.
Right.
I'm really slacking. I'm not slacking on Spanish though.
That's good.
I'm not fully. I'm not watching Falsa Identidad as much as I would like. I'm watching it though. But for this episode, I thought, hey, let's find something that's at least kind of on task here. And so my word is maestro y maestra. I don't know how to say. Do you know how to say depending on in Spanish?
No sé, señor.
Okay. Maestro y maestra, depending on gender.
That's master or teacher?
It is teacher. But there are a lot of different words for teacher. But the reason I chose this one specifically is because I think that one, as we talk about all these sort of like breakdowns of student and teacher and classroom, there's something very respectful just about hearing maestro,
Oh, it rolls off the tongue.
Maestro.
Yeah, maestro is a great word.
It sounds very like commanding of respect almost.
Oh, absolutely.
I like it. And it also sounds like it sounds kind of musically related.
It does?
So there are other words for teacher, and I'm not saying that's like the go-to one where it's like
profe, professore.
Of course, every sort of European language has some form of professor. There's also instructor, but that's probably more maybe sport related.
Okay, maybe, yeah. Maestro's a great one, for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah. I like how it sounds.
Jared, I appreciate that Spanish word of the pod. Now it's time for a couple of cheesy teacher jokes.
You betcha.
So, Jared, why do teachers fart in class?
To pass. Go ahead. I don't know. Why?
Because they are not private tutors.
Have you ever farted in class?
There were a couple times, yeah.
Where they've heard you?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
It's a little awkward, but hey.
So, Chad, what's sort of like a big no-no for you as far as when you're in the classroom? Do you have anything where it's like, I will not cross this line with my students? And obviously, there's a whole, you know what I mean. Right?
as long as they're being quiet and doing their work, I don't have any issues with them. Or you have to be careful with cell phone usage.
Yes.
That's one thing, and I usually look at them. I mean, I think
have
a lot
teachers
of students
had to be more lenient with that these days?
I think sometimes, yes. At least for me as a language teacher, I really like to. Here, I'm going to move the camera over. It's a little too far over.
Because I'll only say this. When I was a kid in high school, if a student were to be on their camera, on their camera. I sound like my mom. If a student were to be on their phone, I think it was way easier, and I'm not even like that old, but I think it was way easier back then to just confiscate the phone. But I feel like that's a trickier thing to navigate these days.
I think it could definitely still be done. Just depends on the teacher. I haven't had to confiscate any phones, but I definitely know colleagues who have.
Okay.
So,
all right. Give me another joke.
What do you call a teacher without students?
Steven Seagal. I don't know.
Happy. Although I disagree with that one.
No, he doesn't.
I really enjoy my students.
You see that smile that was on his face? The camera got that. We saw that. That is a very big perk of being a teacher, is having those summers off.
That's true. So, Jared, how is a language teacher like a judge?
They use rulers. Yeah, okay, you're right. You're right to look at me like that.
Language teachers use rulers.
Oh, right. I didn't think about the language part.
Language teachers and judges both give out sentences. There you go. What's the difference between a teacher and a train?
One's on time at least 50% of the time.
Maybe. But the teacher says spit your gum out. The train says chew chew.
How do you feel about the hat rule and the gum rule?
Stupid. It's stupid.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you said that.
Not a fan.
I think maybe I might understand the gum rule only because there are a-holes that will actually stick it under stuff.
Right.
I never understand that, but there are people that actually do that. I don't get the hat rule.
I don't either.
People aren't like, most people that wear hats don't play with their hats.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Well, how is it a distraction? I don't understand it.
I don't know, Jared. You tell me. But
you're the teacher.
Then again, I didn't wear my cowboy hat in class. Believe it or not. I know it's hard to believe. But, Jared, my last joke for you today is, why did the teacher wear sunglasses in their class?
Does seem tough.
Because their students were so bright.
Said no teacher ever.
You never know. I had some pretty clever students, Jared.
Oh my gosh.
You never know.
My students shine bright like a diamond.
No, that's right. Shine bright like a diamond.
Shout out to Rihanna.
There we go.
We're big fans of Rihanna here.
That is true. She's the queen, man. She's great. But yeah. Anyways, our quote for today's pod is, the fun of teaching, I would say, lies within these teacher stories. You know, the random, the obscure, always tend to create a very entertaining story at the end of the day. And, we're looking forward to hopefully bringing you guys all some more entertaining stories in the near future.
And I think let me not put words in your mouth, but one of the enjoyable things about potentially being a teacher is that, a lot of people go into jobs and they sort of know what they're going to be doing every day. And it's a very, monotonous, almost sort of daily routine. And I think, let me not put words in your mouth, tell me if I'm wrong, but one of the benefits of being a teacher is you're always kind of walking into a new situation.
For sure.
You're almost, it's slightly even performative. Mm-hmm. And so it sort of causes you to be on your feet. You never know what's going to happen. And I've always noticed, even having always worked in sort of office jobs, even in situations where I'm in an office job, the day always goes faster when you're interacting with people, when you're having a good time, enjoying what you're doing even more. And so I understand how, sometimes you always hear that being a teacher is stressful, but that sort of stress that it brings can, on the flip side, make a day be great and go fly by because you really enjoyed just the experience and you had fun too.
Absolutely. I couldn't say it better myself, buddy.
Spread a little love.
Absolutely. I am very blessed and very happy to be a teacher. We've had a lot of great experiences and times as a teacher, and I'm looking forward to sharing more of these stories on the podcast with you, buddy. So we want to thank all of our listeners out there for supporting us
You betcha.
here at the Untranslatable Podcast. Let us know what you think of today's episode at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com, or even better, 5-star reviews on iTunes or
Pleasure.
Stitcher. Let us know what we could do better. We would really love to make this podcast even better for all of you, so let us know. And lastly, don't forget to check out our Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, and our YouTube channel to check out Songs of the Pod and all sorts of other great stuff at Untranslatable Podcast as well on YouTube. So check it out. We hope you enjoy. And until next time, and as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Děkujeme a muchas gracias.